About a century ago, there were great numbers of dark-bellied Brent geese in Western Europe. The sky darkened whenever flocks of Brent geese took to the air. In autumn and in winter, Brent geese traditionally feed mainly on the eelgrass that grows on the tidal mudflats in the sea. And it isn't until spring, when the eelgrass has been eaten, that they come ashore to forage on plants in the salt marshes. When a mysterious fungus caused the eelgrass to disappear all along the Atlantic coastline in the 1930s, the Brent geese were forced to come inland right away in the autumn to start looking for alternative food. The stress of these new foraging strategies caused a drop in the numbers of Brent geese. Before then, Brent geese on the tidal marshes had been difficult to hunt, and then only in small numbers. But once the Brent geese were driven to feed more and more inland, hunting became easier, and they were slaughtered on a grand scale along the length of their migration routes. Brent geese were threatened with extinction. Around 1950, there were only 15,000 left. As the numbers of Brent geese slowly rose again, and hunting was forbidden in their winter habitats, the population recovered its losses. That caused new problems. Because having taken to feeding on farmland, the geese ate the farmer's grass. To get to know more about the Brent goose, research was started in their winter habitats. It turned out that in May, just before migrating to Siberia, the Brent geese put on a lot of weight in the tidal marshes. Individually coloured rings helped researchers determine that it was the geese who were heaviest when they set off for the breeding grounds who usually returned to Western Europe in the autumn with lots of young. Because the foraging conditions in the geese's winter habitat affected the result of their breeding in Siberia, special nature reserves were created for them in Western Europe. And farmers were compensated when the geese came and ate the grass on their meadows. From 1990 onwards, stalwart expeditions to the breeding grounds of the Brent geese in Siberia helped to map their breeding habits, about which nothing had been known. The geese's variable rate of success in breeding turns out to be linked to the 3-yearly lemming cycle and its effect on the number and the behaviour of predators. Arctic foxes, snowy owls, gulls and skuas leave the geese and their young alone when lemmings are abundant. In the year after lemming numbers peak, breeding is usually a complete failure. The geese, their eggs and their young are heavily preyed upon. In spite of the vastness of Siberia, only a very few places are safe for the Brent geese to breed. The geese breed on small islands along the coast, and in years that lemmings are abundant, in the vicinity of nesting snowy owls who keep the surrounding area free of foxes. At most, the Brent geese succeed in bringing back young to their winter habitats in 2 out of every 3 years. Up until 1991, Brent geese numbers rose to above 300,000. But then, despite all the expertise and protective measures, numbers gradually started to fall again. It's precisely because the dark-bellied Brent goose is such a vulnerable species that the AEWA has developed an international single species action plan for it. The plan makes an inventory of the problems facing a specific species along its migration route. In the case of the Brent goose, this includes the increasing loss of its natural habitat, conflicts with human activity, and increasing pressure to allow hunting again. The plan puts forward solutions and encourages all the countries under the flyway to act together. But it also serves as an example for the protection of other species. The International Dark-Bellied Brent Geese Single Species Action Plan is being used as a model for the development of other single-species action plans in the areas covered by the agreement.